what going on? Listen, this is Empress Zingha, and you know where I am, right? You know where I am? Fangirling right now. I am sitting here with Kite, Brian, and JJ. They just released a new single. My God, I have so many questions. First of all, part one a date, like, what happened? I still at home playing Firefly, so put me in the deets. Let me know what's going on.
We've just been locked away in studios. That's what we've been doing in our studio here at Shoestring. We've been honing our production skills, still composing, doing a lot of composing and writing. Not so much for Kite releases. That's why this is so exciting for us, because we're finally starting to, do more stuff, releasing stuff for ourselves, which is really cool. It's very refreshing, It's really good to be back.
I could see, like, from the response online as well, I don't know if it has been for you, but it looks quite overwhelming. People asking a lot of questions about EPs and when the next thing's coming out, and people really miss you guys.
Yeah, it's kind of it's very flattering, people actually take the time to say, look, we really like this song, how many songs are going to be in the EP, when's the next song coming out, and you don't take that kind of enthusiasm for granted. We're very pleased about it, but we're just like normal human beings, very self-conscious, wondering, like, do they really like it, and you always get those feelings of you're not quite sure what's going to happen, which is kind of exciting because we've not released new music in a little while. But I have to say that the response so far has been really, really good, and the most important thing about that is that it makes you, it's a sense of relief, and also you want to keep making more music because people are liking it and they actually care. That's the thing you can't take for granted. People obviously took the time and trouble to write to us and say things about the song, all of them positive so far, and that to me is the one thing that's kept Brian and I going the whole time, is that people always kept coming up and kept asking genuinely, when you guys releasing a new song, we're really looking forward to it, and they don't have to do that.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the release, the process behind it? I know that you've been heavily inspired to create it because of your dormancy and stuff, well, dormancy in terms of producing music, but tell me now a little bit more about the release.
When we were working on Tell Me, what happened is we went through various, versions of the song. It first started out like it sounded like Firefly Mark II, and then JJ and I were just thinking, at first we were thinking, we don't really want to go, we've already been down those paths already. And plus we get into a lot of fusions because we've been composing all along, different types of music, different genres of music. That's what we've been doing. So we decided to, incorporate so many new sounds that we have. And then we also decided to work with a composer from Canada, Asif Elias. I guess JJ will talk more about that as well. And he helped us a lot with the arrangement. He is so fantastic, this guy. We sent him a copy of the song just to get, we bounce things off of him from time to time, because he's great ears. He's really, really good film composer. And he came back, I'd say a few hours later with a demo that he did, just him messing around, on his piano and what's not. We just loved the sound of the piano and some of the arrangement calls that he was making. So it was really a good collaboration. And then we also worked with Dangerous, with the reggae keys. And why this is important to us is that this is the first time that we've actually ever worked with other musicians or arrangers or producers. Normally JJ and I, we do everything ourselves, play everything, and just do everything, catering. You know what I mean? So we do every single thing, but it's just really nice to have other ideas coming in from different people. So we do think we're gonna keep that theme, and but it's hard to delegate, because it's like your baby, and then but he did a fantastic job helping us out with that one there, and it was really, I think it turned out really nice, and it's just a different sound, and we were going for something that's like a fusion, but having it not sound too forced or anything like that. But I think that the lyrics are very, very good, and it carries the whole song. So we're very proud of it.
Now we are going to take a step back a little bit. For those of us who might not know about Kite, there's some younger generations that are now coming out and probably haven't heard of your music. How did Kite first come about here in Barbados?
We came about after a typical rock and roll fireball of implosion of a band that Brian and I were in before. Towards the end of that band's life, we had the classic sort of rock and roll story where it all very dramatically imploded in a really fun, fantastic way. It had to happen, because if that hadn't happened, then Brian and I wouldn't have been able to focus on writing together. which we had found towards the end of that band's life, had been something that started to work really, really well. We started writing together and we realized it was working. And when that band finished, we decided, we need to carry this on. We should start a new band. We didn't know what to call it. Brian came up with this idea. It was Easter time at that time, and Brian said, something simple. One of the remaining 4-letter words that we can still use. And he said, Kite. And I thought, you know what? That's a really Bayesian thing as well. We've all got really positive associations. It's a very Bayesian thing. And it's also, all the sort of cool childhood memories of, going kite flying and that kind of thing. And I immediately, as soon as he said, we didn't have to think about it. That was the name of the band. Unlike other bands that will, at the time that you'd be playing out and then you would release some songs maybe down the road, we did it the other way around. We carried on writing and then recorded the songs that we'd been writing and released an album before the band per se was sort of out touring the stuff. It was really the band kind of came together after we'd finished recording the album. It was kind of, we did it back to front, but that was the important thing, because in this band we put original music first. It wasn't like a cover band that kind of did some originals. It was always an original thing.
Was it hard doing that? I know that some musicians would rather play covers sometimes versus their own original work. Was it well received? Were you guys scared at all to show what you guys can really do in terms of songwriters?
I wouldn't really say that we were scared. We just didn't really think too much about it, and how it came about is that we had to try to figure out a way, because we didn't have a lot of money to record at that time. We didn't have the resources. We started to do some crowdfunding, even before crowdfunding was a thing. JJ used to have this clipboard, and we used to go to all of our gigs, sign up people, and just get people to pledge like $10 or something, $5 or whatever you could afford. And we collect, and we said for that you would get your name inside the first CD. So what we did is we gathered up some funds. We got a computer, borrowed some software. Literally got a computer, borrowed some software from some people, went into like my mom's garage in the room, and recorded like the whole album. I would say we did that whole first album up in the air in like maybe a week.
We never had problems. Brian and I played covers and stuff like that, and Brian always, said that you learn a great deal by other people's songs, and you do. But we knew that it was really important for us to write, because that's what we actually enjoyed doing. We had a really good chemistry writing together, which doesn't always happen. Often you can get fractious and stuff but I really noticed from very early on with Brian, it never was fractious. It was always complementing each other really well. And we have a close friend of ours, he's the lead singer of a band called the Cutting Crew, who had said, if you ever find that kind of partnership, which he had in his music career very rarely, in fact with one guy, he said, if you ever find that kind of chemistry, just hang on to it, because it doesn't come along very often. It really doesn't. And you'll look back on it when you're older, and if you mess it up, then you'll rue the day that you didn't appreciate it. So we decided, look, we're doing really well working together, writing songs, continue to write, and don't really think too much about what's going to happen.
What would have been, I guess, your most or more fond memories of performing in Barbados?
To be honest, I think McBride's. Remember that old McBride's club? It just had such a vibe in there. It was like just heaving with people, and I don't know. I guess it was just the time that was there, and everything just seemed kind of new and fresh.
For everybody.
No, but like a lot of I would say a lot of younger musicians like these days don't have the benefits from playing a lot of live gigs with lots and lots of people. We used to have in Lil McBride's, I think our record in there was what, JJ? It was like 750. Yeah, in a club like that.
That venue, normally most people think you maybe get 300 in there tops, but we managed to get like every Thursday we'd get about 700, 750. So that was a really special atmosphere, because it was electric. Going in there, you just had there was this tremendous sense of anticipation, and it's very, very difficult to put into words, but every Thursday you knew walking in there was this wonderful sort of electricity between the band and the crowd, and everybody was part of the same thing, and that's what made it special. So
playing in Barbados back then too, it was a lot of visitors around, and like St. Lawrence Gap itself was it was a real hot spot for like live entertainment. And even before that, there was just so many great bands around, like Spice and Company, and they had like, you know, Splash Band and, you know, Signature and Second Avenue, all these in one place on one night. There was so much, you know, variety. And I think for musicians, especially Bajan musicians, that is a really awesome thing, is to be performing all the time in front of a lot of people. It gets you pretty sharp, you know. And then, you know, we've done everything from that to, like, you know, we used to travel a bit and do some, you know, busking, playing at the side of the street in like Sweden. We've done that a few times, you know, being able to buy some like McDonald's and stuff. No.
But how's the atmosphere? I've always wanted to ask that question. Like, how's the atmosphere in terms of, I guess, Europe or overseas, anywhere, in terms of Barbados? Because I've heard a couple of artists say that they would never perform, like said the road. Then I had another set that was saying, man, people ain't gonna listen to me, and suppose the Paro man come and carry my money that I had the thing open. Like, how is that overseas?
Well, we weren't worried about, you know, Paris carrying away our money because there was two of us. So one of us could guard the instruments and the other could run after the Paro. Yeah, it'd be fine. So we never worried about that. The attitude we found, especially in places like Scandinavia, I know certainly in mainland Europe, and to a slightly lesser extent the UK, but the busking culture there is still very big. But particularly in Scandinavia, we noticed that a lot of Scandinavian stars got their starts from busking. And, you know, people will bring up these old videos of people who are now big stars there when they were performing as street musicians on the side of the road. So the population, when they're passing you, as far as they're concerned, you could already be stars or stars in the making. In other words, they take you seriously. It's not perhaps how it's maybe viewed in Barbados, where people are maybe a bit uncomfortable with it. Up there, it's actually a sort of rite of passage. So it's a completely different attitude. So we realized we had to try and be part of that and see what it was like. It's terrifying at first because it's a very unusual environment. You're used to going on stage and then you're literally just setting up on the side of the street. The nice thing about it is it's absolutely stripped down to completely bare bones. You've just got guitars, voice, and you want to see, you've got no lighting, no nothing, whatever. Are people going to stop? Are they going to listen? And then if they like it, are they going to leave something in the guitar case? It's so immediate. That's the satisfying bit. There's no talk or this or that or club managers or whatever it is. It's just, can we make this work in the most simple way possible? And when you see people stopping, and then you see people coming and putting money in as they go by, and then you then have to get moved on by security because you've blocked up the road too much, you know, that kind of thing. You really think, wow, there's something here between us. There's this kind of chemistry that works and people are feeling it. There's no hype or anything. It's just two people standing by the side of the road. And then you realize, you know, it kind of affirmed what Brian and I always knew we had, which we have this chemistry. We don't have to talk about it, it's just there. And then when you take that to a street with no hype or nothing, they didn't care who we were, they know who we were. And it works. And you're able to, as you say, go buy a McDonald's afterwards with the money. I mean, we were earning up to 100 US an hour.
An hour?
Yeah, so I think that's when people started.
Oh no!
I know, that's when people kind of realized the difference perhaps in busking culture in those countries and here, where up there it's part of what you expect, especially when the weather allows it, particularly in the summer months. These musicians will be able to appear on the side of the road, and people expect it and they really look forward to it. They wonder who's going to be performing this year. And the good news is that our sort of training in clubs in Barbados had prepared us very well, and that our peers and the people we looked up to growing up and providing that really good nightclub performing environment that we had grown up watching and then later being a part of was a really good training ground, because Bajans naturally get good at performing. That's the environment we created. So we're not shoegazers. We naturally perform well. And of course, you'd always wonder, is this going to translate overseas? How are people going to appreciate it? When I go into the big bad world, you know, is it going to fall flat? Are people going to be like, yeah, ready? You know, that kind of thing. But it was the exact opposite. People are like, there's an energy about you folks that you seem to have. And we thought, well, it's natural. It's just what you do. When you go out and you perform for people, you perform. And we then began to be really grateful for the fact that we had this music culture in Barbados of, you know, coming up through the ranks in the nightclub scene and competing against each other in a really friendly, competitive way. Who's going to be the better band? Who's going to do something different that week? And that actually, rather than being something that some people think the competition's a negative thing, it meant that the standard of bands was unusually high. And when you took that on the road, you saw it in the reaction of people outside of Barbados. Even when we went to travel to the other islands, you know, we went and did, like showcases in other islands, and when we would win the showcase, when they were expecting the home bands to win, you suddenly realize we have something in Barbados that we've now got used to, and it is actually a good standard when we take that energy out on the road. So that was kind of nice, going into the busking environment and complete strangers just stopping and enjoying you playing.
Do you think that busking can actually work in Barbados though, if it was like really given a try?
Outside too hot. No, but seriously, Bajan audiences are real tough. I mean, they are tough. They are discerning. You can come, if you come slack or you ain't really ready or nothing, they will spot it and they'll let you know. They just stand up there. They let you know. So I just feel that this is a great training ground. If you can make it through like Bajan audiences, that's why sometimes when we first started to travel and go on tour and do shows like that, one of the first ones we did, I was playing, and after the first song, the people just like erupted. I mean, like screaming. So I thought something had happened, so I had to fall down, right? Because I had to turn around and like look behind me to make sure that nothing happened. Because in Barbados, that's not kind of the reaction that you get naturally from people. People are not going to show you that kind of way. They will come up to you afterwards and just go, I really enjoyed that. But Bajan's not going to run to the front of a stage like some people. In some concerts, people will go straight to the front of the stage, just there to cheer and cheer you on. Bajan, so we can stand back and we can kind of watch and assess and see if you're ready. And then but they're also very supportive. They can support you to the end, but they are tough audiences, and I do think that's a great training ground. If you're doing a lot of live music, Barbados is the best place to train.
Tell me now about how it has been having your music up in some TV programs overseas.
Yeah, well, we went to play at the Florida Music Festival some years ago. Long story short, we met some pretty cool people. A guy from Incubus, a band called Incubus. Their manager seemed to take a liking to us, and he told us when he got home, that he was gonna be contacting us, but we didn't really take him seriously, because these people, if we'd been everywhere that people told you that you were gonna go, we would have circled the earth like 3 times. But he finally got in touch, and he said to send these 30 CDs to an address in Beverly Hills. So JJ and I would say 30 whole CDs, like we were, because we didn't know if this guy was for real, like we didn't know, and we said 30 CDs, we gonna lose a lot of money, because back then it was like, CDs cost a lot of money with all the artwork, and we got in contact with him. He forwarded it on to a company that's in Los Angeles, and and I think Incubus were working on a movie called Stealth at the time. Because he had made connections into this company, he then said, maybe there's some inroads, because he thought that maybe our music might be more suited to TV and film. Like, it's kind of like film music almost, because it has it's kind of heavy. Some of the music, some of the chords and the melodies and the lyrics are kind of heavy sounding. Might not be top 40 stuff, but he did feel that it would be something that would fit really nice on their scene. So within like 5 days after we finished signing the contract, we were just going to wait to see what would happen. And JJ will probably tell us the story, like he's walking and he's driving and people stopping and going, hey man, congratulations, I saw you on the show, The Ghost Whisperer. And we were like, wow, like somebody, we were figuring out some way teeth the song, like we couldn't really understand what was going on at the time, like, because it was happening pretty quickly, But then after that, we had quite a few placements in like different primetime TV shows. I think it's up to like 8 of them that we've been on, like Lincoln Heights, Beverly Hills 90210.
How can you be depressed all the time?
Degrassi, twice on Degrassi, and a movie called The Stone Angel, Jericho.
Like everywhere then.
Well, we've been on a good.
For me, it's everywhere.
Yeah, we've been on a good few of these shows, but as I always tell people, well, it is a big deal, but people would never really know. This is the one thing. The upside is it's so cool to sit back and watch yourself being a part. There was one scene in Degrassi, which I think is my most proud moment, is when these people actually these stars got up and started to dance to like one of our songs on the dance floor in a scene. And I thought, well, geez, this is really, that's so cool. But also to, when you have your music sync like that, the downside is that maybe people don't get to know you personally. Like, it's not like when the song is playing, all of a sudden like a banner comes up, goes Kite, streaming onto the part, so nobody really knows. But for us, I thought that was so interesting. And then that kind of sparked, like, because we, as I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of compositions and different things, and as we're working as composers and producers all along these times, you haven't heard us. But I think that kind of sparked it off, realizing how powerful it is to have music that can fit scenes and like bring emotions across in TV. And that's really where we think our music is best suited.
Do you think you would ever put your music with like the Barbados film that is happening right now in Barbados, with everybody's doing these little shorties, documentaries, film festivals and whatnot. If you haven't as yet, do you think that you would be interested in doing something like that?
No, of course, we'd naturally be interested in doing that. That's, as Brian has said, that's where we've been leading all along. You know, as soon as we started to find out that our music was being placed regularly in TV and film up in the States, you naturally think, well, we would love to be able to do that here for projects that people would think that our composing style would be appropriate. And that's why, the reason perhaps why people haven't heard new Kite material in a little while is because we've been broadening, by composing for other people, we've been broadening the genres that people might otherwise have not normally associated us with. So a lot of things that people hear on the radio and so forth in genres like reggae, soca, electronica, even dance hall stuff, you know, we have kind of gone into all those areas and learned, which has kind of helped us in the new material that we've done. I think people had expected us to move forward, and you know, we felt that we have in the new song. There's no point releasing something where you don't feel that you're, you know, Brian always said, if you don't have anything to say that's new, you owe it to the people that have continually come up to you and complimented your music and been keen to hear the next installment. You owe it to them to show them that you've moved forward and that you've grown. You've got something new to offer them. And we weren't going to release anything until we could honestly say that we were able to do that. And I think Brian and I are in agreement that we have moved forward, we've developed, we've grown, just like everybody does. And it seems that the feedback that we're getting now reflects that people understand that we have sort of moved up a gear, which is nice.
So my last question is our legacy question, and that is, what it is that you want to be remembered for, or what is it that you want to leave behind? Not you.
Just lots of great music, and to be remembered for a guy that stuck with it no matter what.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Short and sweet.
You know?
There must be something.
No, I mean, I think, like Brian, I think I'd like people to remember us for being guys that really stuck with what we thought was our passion, the style of music, the approach that we did, that it was a bit different for around here, and that's fine too, that's okay. And I would hope that that would actually inspire other people in Barbados who are thinking about the same thing, people growing up now, that they can actually do this and it can take them places that they didn't actually think were possible.
I like those answers. Guys, this has been Kite. Been chatting with Brian and JJ. Please go and check out Tell Me, their new release. Go and check them out. They're all over Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes.
Yes, actually,
any place else?
we're just you know, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. You know, we have a website, www.GineOn.com. Yeah, a lot of radio stations I think going to start playing it soon, hopefully, which would be really nice because it's good that they get behind the local music, you know.
So guys, as I said, go and check out everything that they have done. Not only this single, but from way back when. They've had a lot of work that they have put out. Go and support local artists, go and support culture, go and support art, go and support Kite. And what? We can see you somewhere, sometime soon.
I don't wanna hear who's right or who's wrong. 'Cause all I need to know, are you gonna be here? You're gonna be gone.